Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20, and welcome to episode 15 of Direwolf20's Let's Play of ATM10 to the Skies. Today's plan, I would like to get into the Steel Age of modern industrialization. Last episode we took a little bit of a break so that we could, get some automations happening, and automations we did. We've got, sugarcane happening over here. Oh yeah, all kinds of good stuff. And our sugarcane is obviously automatically turning into this stuff, right, as we speak. So paper is building up in here. All the automation that is working. We've got a bunch of oak happening, and we've got, what was the other one I wanted to do? I did 3 automations last episode. Believe it or not, I already forgets. Wool. That's right, I did wool. Yeah, I knew that. One of these days, I'll get around to automating this. A couple people have commented, like, why haven't you automated this yet? I want to look at um, maybe doing ore processing with modern industrialization. I'm not sure. I have to decide. But like, I'll get there when I get there. Like, for now, it's fine. Even if I just export bust the ores directly in here without any processing, we'd be fine, right? Because we get tons of resources. Just letting it sit for 5 minutes and suddenly we'd have, thousands and thousands of every ingot that we need. So, not worried about that. We'll get to it when we get to it. So in the meantime, I made some stuff. I made a mixer and a bronze cutting machine. Let's take a look at making lubricant real quick, because I feel like that's something we're going to want a pretty healthy amount of. So if we wanted to make a lubricant, we're going to need a mixer with either creosote, naphtha, or plant oil and redstone. Now, luckily, I already have creosote. So let's hook that bad boy up. I think that should be easy peasy. Now, here's a question. If I broke you... And no, I still need that there. Okay, that's fair. How do I want to, like, set this up? Because I want to take this creosote that I have. Is there anything else that I can do with creosote at the moment from modern industrialization? It can also be used to make rails. It can be used for for the lubricant that we want. I guess it's a fuel of some kind. Kind of it. That's kind of it. I don't think I'm gonna like 100% take all the stuff out, but what I will do, is let's. I'm just trying to think about how I might want to rearrange this stuff. If I took you, right, and we're gonna want some more pipes. There we go. Get you guys reconnected. If I were to stick the mixer here, you know what? Actually, I might want to rearrange it a little bit different than that, because like you're doing this stuff, right? I might want to put some redstone in here. Yeah, let's do that. That would be cool. Right? We keep redstone in stock. Now we determined that we can filter on items, so that's what we're going to want to do. You're filtering on coal, and you're filtering on coal. So technically, you don't need to filter on coal. What I can do is blacklist and empty list, and then we don't have to worry about nothings, right? That should be cool. Now, do we want to do something with our steam here? Thinking I might change that up. I'm not quite sure. It's a little tricky to decide how we want to handle things. You know what I'm going to do? I got my plan. We're going to do this. Yeah. That's the plan. I got it in my brain, at least. We're going to throw our mixer here. We're going to extract from you. Okay. And then we're going to get item pipes. And I gotta figure out, like, how to actually get this thing to, like, connect like it's supposed to. Because there's supposed to be a way to make it so that when you click on the machine, it, like, auto-inserts or whatever. Right? But then you are going to now insert redstone. And now if I connect you, you should happily be doing your thing. Now you're coal, and you can be, like I said before, empty blacklist. Is that cool? Sweet, redstone. And we're making lubricant. Awesome. Awesome. Now can I output you to the back? Fluid auto eject enabled. Right? And then if I had a functional storage fluid drawer, will you... Nice, lubricant. Awesome. And that's what I want to do, right? So then I can lock and load. And now I should have lubricant available. Perfect. That's exactly what I want. Right. And that should very quickly make all the lubricant that we need. And then I have it available in the AE system, so I can use it to bronze cutting machine things, right? Which is going to be used for, like, a bunch of stuff, I think. So now one of the things I want to get going, if we look at, you know, this list of steel upgrades, here's the list of things that we need to make, because I want to make a wire mill, right? So we're going to need bronze gears, we're going to need bronze rotors. Bronze gears looks easy. Rotors, not as much, because we're going to need this, this, and this. And this is going to need that, and that's just going to be a cutting machine, so that's cool. And then you are also going to need bronze rods, which I already put in there, and bronze bolts, which I already put in there. So those are the main things that we need to get going. So I think we want to automate most of these types of resources, and I want to figure out how we want to do that today. So this is an option, but I don't want to do that. I want to do, like, this, right? So cutting machine is definitely going to be the play. I'm debating if I want to have, like, a dedicated cutting machine per resource, or if I want to have, like, a craft on demand type thing, but a keep in stock association with it. So, like, you know, we always have, like, 2 stacks of bronze rods or something in stock. Does that make some semblance of sense, I hope? So let's look at the machines we need to make this, right? So we definitely need... A bending machine looks better than a compressor in terms of speed. That would be cool. So for bronze rods, we're going to need 1 cutting machine. For curved plates, let's get a bending machine. For this, it's just going to be a crafting combiner. For this, it's going to be the curved plates that we already know to do. Bronze bolts is going to be the cutting machine with a rod. All right, so let's start this stuff and then see what happens. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to aim to kind of follow this pattern that I started. So we'll have, like, a cutting machine, right? And then your job is to make rods, right? Now, if I want to make bolts, I also need a cutting machine, right? So we definitely need a cutting machine for bolts. We technically could do it this way for rods, and it's just more resources that way. Is that right? So it's 1 becomes 2, or 2 becomes 1. So, I mean, it's a lot more efficient. For the sake of efficiency. Because that's Dyer for you. He likes to be efficient. Now, you're doing steam coming out of here, right? So what we should probably have... And then you're also doing synthetic oil. Right, so you did that, and you did that, and you're doing that. Okay. So hopefully you don't ever get gummed up with steam. But I wonder if I... No, because it's only 1 pipe, so we won't be able to do multiple pipes. So what we should do, we should either have a... You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put this over here. This will be my lubricating area, right? The bending machine doesn't need a lubricator, but if I'm going to need 2 cutting machines, right? Cool. So we're going to have one that makes the rods, and then one that makes the other things, right? So what we're going to want to do is run some cables, and we're going to want another ME interface. Looks like we're low on gold, by the way, which we'll deal with in a minute, right? So then you can chill here. Hopefully you're okay on like channels and whatnot. Yeah, you're fine. Plenty of channels, right? And then your deal will basically be going to want pipes. And then we're going to want fluid pipes, right? I wish I could filter on these fluid pipes. That would be like the coolest thing ever. But then you're going to be lubricant, right? And then you guys should be cool to do that, right? So you're both going to fill up with all the lubricant because we have plenty of lubricant. We just stole some, but like now my thing over there is going to make more. Cool. And then similarly, we're going to have steam. For now, eventually this will be like not necessary because we're going to have, you know, different steam. And we'll do. See, eventually we'll have power and we won't have to worry about steam, and that will make this all a heck of a lot easier. Oh, we're out of copper. Okay, that's cool. See what I said about having to like get around to automating this stuff? Come on, dude. Do the thing. I hate when they get stuck. Alright, so then your job will be to extract steam. Wonder if I can... Can I filter you on steam? That's a question. Really, bro? What do you think of that? Do you think he would not extract it if he was filtered on steam from modern industrialization? In fact, let me put you up here so that you're easier to drag, right? So then you're going to be an allow list. You're also going to be an allow list. And does that mean that if I did this and set you to extract, nope, that is not at all. Oops, I did not mean to do that, but I guess that solves the problem, doesn't it? Steam for modern. Whitelist. Now you should be cool, right? And then we can put the lubricant back, and we can put the steam back, and now he's only going to extract steam, and that's basically what we want, right? And then in terms of items, what I'm going to have is you and bronze ingots, okay? And then for items, you're going to connect on the up, and you're going to allow in bronze ingots, right? And then you're going to allow in bronze rods, right? because that will make that. And then on the down, you will cut, or you will extract items. And there's only one item in there. And you will be empty blacklist, which means for now, you're going to do that, right? Then we're going to get functional storage drawers and downscale them. And then you're going to auto eject, and you're going to auto eject. And you, and you. And if I do that, and then I do this, and then I do that, and then I do this, and then we lock and load them. Right? You should now be getting bronze bolts being made because he's able to extract from there. Cool. And now if I unlock you for a minute, you should get that, relock, and now we've got bronze bolts. Cool. So that covers you and you. Now all I need is bronze curved plates, which can be made with bronze plates in a bending machine, right? Or a compressor, but bending machine is better. And then bronze plates are made in a compressor, and that's about it, right? So we should make bronze. Do we already know how to make bronze plates? We do. Do we want to keep making them that way? Because that's like less efficient. But it's only like a little less, right? It's 2-to-1 versus 1-to-1. And this one requires this machine, the bending machine. So let's do this. Let's instead just, for now, and maybe we'll make it more efficient when we get to like the electricity world, right? But I give you that. And then on the up, you're allowed to insert bronze plates. Which means you need a crafting card. Which I should add to the autocraft list, by the way. And I can easily do that. And then you will on-demand craft, you will stick that in there, you will make your curved plates, and same deal, you're going to be set to auto-export to the top with a functional storage drawer. Some of those and some of these, please. Only need those so that I can do this. Right? And then that, and then these two, and then that, and that. Cool. So now, you're all connected, right? Cool. So now if we look at bronze, we've got all the things we need. We're just making bronze plates on demand kind of deal. Is that cool? I like that. I like that a lot. What do you think? Everybody like that? I think that's cool. My opinion, that's cool. Right? And then I should very easily be able to do, so like you're done, you're done, you're done, you're done. If I want to make you, that should not be a problem because these guys are all being stored in my drawers. If I want to make you, that should not be a problem because these guys are all being stored in my drawers. If I want to make you, that should not be a problem because we know how to craft the other things. And then you are super easy, barely an inconvenience. Which means I should now be able to make you pretty easily. Right? Awesome. Awesome sauce. Cool, cool, cool. Actually, we already had the bronze rotor recipe in there. I guess we could ditch that, but that's okay, because that was probably like from when I was manually making things. Right? And then we should also be able to make you. Right? And that's cool, and that completes that quest. So now we get to make the steel wire mill, which should be cool, right? So the steel wire mill is how we're going to get copper wire, right? And possibly something else like fine copper wire, right? So let's check our quests just to see how we're doing here for steel upgrade. Hooray! Right? And look, we get steel wire as a thing. So like steel packer, steam quarry, steel unpacker, steel alloy smeltery. Looks like there's like, ooh, steel alloy smelter. That's cool. Okay. But now the goal here is to make these dudes, right? Hey, it's called dire wire. Look. I love that. So like essentially we're gonna want a bunch of analog circuits, right? As we know. So I have a steel wire mill. We're probably gonna need 2 of those if I want 2, right? Yes, good, 2, right? And we have some steel upgrades too, which is cool. So ultimately, we want resistors, inductors, capacitors, analog circuit boards, and the copper wires, right? So this is cool coal dust. We might need to like do something about, but we could probably figure that out. That's not necessarily MI related. Maybe it is. And then steel rods. These can just be made like that, so we're cool on that front, right? And then you are the rubber sheets, which we've already automated, right? And then you also rubber sheets and copper plates. So overall, the only thing we need to automate now is copper wire and fine copper wire, which, you know, shouldn't be too bad. We'll kind of follow this pattern. In fact, maybe what I'll do, in fact, absolutely what I'll do is like forget all this mess. Like we could just do something like that, and that would be super cool. Because then what we can have is we can follow this pattern exactly. And what we'll do is the 2 steel wire mills right here. Boom. And boom, right? They can get the steam, which I assume they're going to need. Right? Now, we might be a little choked up on steam, but, like, we'll get there when we get there kind of deal. And then your task will be to insert, is it just ingots or is it plate? Copper plates, right? So we'll do you and you and you, and you're going to get copper plates, which I'm just going to put here for now, right? And then you're going to get copper wire, and then you're going to get copper plates, and you're going to get copper wire. Now, don't we know how to make copper plates? No. Just double checking. You don't know how to make that? Well, you do now. And only because I don't want to have like a million of these machines unless we really need them, am I going to do it this way, right? But if we do that, now we're cooking, right? And then we can do our functional storage pattern again. And then you can be iron downgrades. And then you're going to auto output onto the top. Cool. By the way, you do that, and you can, you know, do that. Right? So then we lock, we add, and then you should start running. Cool. Oh, and we should probably downgrade both of you guys. So then you also lock and add, and now we've got all that going. And now it should be relatively easy, if I'm not mistaken. And as a matter of fact, I would like to come over here. Capacity 0, capacity 0, capacity 0. Good. Now you can't accept any more paper. Cool. Mr. Greedy Paper Man. Sweet. That's cool. How cool is that? I really like that, actually. Building like a whole factory setup thing is kind of nifty in my opinion. I like it actually a lot. So now we should be able to make analog circuits, right? So all we need is to teach you how all these things go together, right? So you've already got these and these. You need to know how to make resistors, which were good except for the coal dust, so we'll deal with that in a minute. Inductors, right? Needs to know how to make steel rods, which for now I'll do it this way if I decide that I don't want to do it that way. Like that's 2 becomes 1, whereas if I had done it in a cutting machine, it would become 1 becomes 2. So it's like 4 times more efficient. So I feel a little bad wasting that much steel, but like also, eh, right? Um, so you're cool, and then you just need that, which should be pretty cool. I guess you need to know how to make gold plates, which shouldn't be a big deal, right? And then you need to be making that, which should be straightforward. And then we should be cool sans the coal dust. Right? Right. And, you know, a somewhat serious lack of gold. So you with you, we're like really going crazy on copper here. I should really, really like automate this to a smart way. Maybe next episode we'll take a break from MI again and we'll look at automating this. Come on, dude. Export. I would increase this thing's tier, but like, you know. So you and some gold real quick. And that should be cool. Good enough for me. I just wish he would push, because I can be patient, but I'm waiting for him to push his stuff. I wish he would push his stuff a little bit. So now, analog circuit, right? So the only thing I'm really missing here is coal dust, right? So for coal dust, we could just get like another macerator and pump coal into it and like call it a day. I could see myself doing that. Let's do that. Bronze macerator. Burp, burp, burp. So like we already have coal here. So what I could do you get coal. Now, are you going to get steam by virtue of the fact that you're next to the steam boiler? That's cool. You know why that's cool? Because that means I can put my functional storage drawer right here. And, right? Right? That's awesome sauce. And now I should be able to make some analog circuits. Pretty awesome. I like it. So that's kind of the pattern I'm probably going to follow. Like, have a bunch of machines just making stuff, and then, like, storing it in functional storage drawers so that, like, you know, everything's made in advance. And if I decide suddenly I need more of this, guess what? Not a big deal. I either increase, you know, like, throw a copper in there, and then I'll get 6 stacks, or I can remove this entirely, and I'll go back to, like, the default of 2048 per thing. And that's pretty cool, right? And then I've got my analog circuits, and that, in my opinion, is probably the end of this chapter, except I need an analog circuit board to complete that. Oh, I need more copper. It's amazing how much copper you need. Which, to be fair, I appreciate on account of the fact that, you know, You always get more copper than you need, generally. I just want to complete the quest. Please. Is that too much to ask? Thank you. And then you need a resistor and a capacitor. Cool. And that means... that's funny. I got an analog circuit as the random reward. Hey, who's done with chapter whatever this is? By the way, I did update the pack between episodes, and it split, I think, the Steam Age and... Well, no, I think maybe it just rearranged things. Because the Steam Age did pretty much end with analog circuit. It was just in a different layout, right? But yeah, new version of the pack, and that's what that did. So now, I guess we start with the electric age, which needs a battery alloy. And that's going to be like our next thing. So now that we have these analog circuits, we can start making electrical based stuff. And once I have electrical based stuff, I don't really have to worry about Unomores because we can get rid of all the steam nonsense and convert to, like, you know, magic wireless doohickeyness. Because who needs steam, right? Like this mod, you know, there's enough complexity here that we don't need to do with the whole like piping steam everywhere thing. Cool. All right, I think that's probably a good wrapping up point. So for now, Del20 sign off. Hope you enjoyed the episode. We'll come back next time and maybe automate ores, maybe not. We'll see. For now, take it easy.